Did you know there are real money fantasy football drafts going on for 2025 right now on Underdog Fantasy? And this is great not only because drafting is so much fun, but it also gives us some insights into how drafters are valuing players headed into next season. Now, I've done a few of these drafts, and I got to say, there are some running back picks that I think are just ridiculous values. I can't believe where these running backs are going. I got 5 picks for you at running back position that I think when they come up on the board, you got to hit smash and draft these players. Now, before I get to those picks, if you want to try out some of these drafts on Underdog Fantasy for as little as $3 per draft, just go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Join using promo code ENDGAME because not only will that get you access to these drafts, but also up to $1,000 in bonus cash plus a free pick. Now let's start with a guy I am planting my flag on in 2025, and that is Christian McCaffrey. Currently going as pick 16 in fantasy drafts, the RB7 off the board. This is a guy, there's going to be he's going to be very polarizing in 2025, right? There's going to be the side that's going to say, nope, he burned me too badly in 2024. I'm done with Christian McCaffrey. And then there's going to be the side that I am on that's going to say, hey, this is too low. This is too good of a value for a guy like Christian McCaffrey, a guy who, outside of the 3 years where he's missed time with injury, has been a top 2 running back every year he's played in fantasy football. 3 times he's been a top scoring running back, and twice he's been the top scoring player outside of quarterback in fantasy football. That's the kind of upside this guy has. It's very rare you get a player like this in the second round of fantasy drafts. And it sounds like all reports make it sound like this guy is going to be fully healthy going into next season. Remember, the injury he suffered that actually did end his season had nothing to do with his Achilles. It was a PCL injury, just a freak accident for this guy. We know if he's fully healthy, and if this 49ers offense is fully healthy, which we got to buy into it being next year, we know what he is capable of doing. And look, we could go into preseason, we could go into training camp, and all of a sudden, people are seeing like, oh my gosh, he looks healthy, he looks good. Preseason, rips off a few explosive runs, and suddenly people are like, what are we doing letting Christian McCaffrey fall to the second round? And we're going to see him being drafted in the first round and maybe even top 5 if he really looks good. So take advantage of it now while you can. Get Christian McCaffrey in the second round before his ADP jumps up closer to August. And then while Christian McCaffrey being that low kind of makes sense because of the injury last year, why is Kyren Williams going so low? He's currently going at pick 35 in fantasy drafts, the RB14 in fantasy. I don't get this at all. The last 2 years as a starter for the Rams, he's finished as the RB2 and the RB11 in terms of points per game. And we know Sean McVay, he just wants one guy. There is no competition here. Blake Corum barely sniffed the field last year. Sean McVay just wants one guy out there pretty much every snap, and that guy is Kyren Williams. And unlike a guy like Christian McCaffrey, he doesn't have those injury concerns. Yes, he's a running back. Yes, he'll get banged up, especially any running back getting the touches that Kyren Williams gets, but it's not like this guy has had season-ending injuries. It's not like he's missed significant times. He hasn't busted since being the starter, and it sounds like not only is Kyren Williams going to be the workhorse next year, sounds like they're going to try to extend him this offseason, which just makes me feel even better about Kyren Williams. It sounds like they're going to try to bring Stafford back, which just makes me feel even better about Kyren Williams. Now, I know Kyren Williams didn't necessarily smash down the stretch. He kind of was just okay down the stretch, but he's still a running back getting all the touches in this offense. He has touchdown upside every single week. Doesn't catch a ton of passes, but he catches enough passes. So I just think this is too crazy. This is way too low for Kyren Williams, for a guy who's been a top 11 running back 2 years in a row. Why is that going to change going into 2025? He should once again be a low-end RB1, and you're getting this guy in the third round. I don't get why this is happening at all. Give me Kyren Williams every chance I can. Now going down a little lower, James Conner seems like a value every single year in fantasy football drafts. Currently going as pick 68, the RB22 in fantasy football. You look at it over the last 4 years, he's averaged 15 or more fantasy points per game in every year over the last 4 years. Now, yes, he has missed games pretty much every year of his career. You always got to pencil him in to missing like a game or 2 or 3. But that's okay. When you're getting them this late, you can live with them missing a few games. And last year, we really thought, oh, Trey Benson, he's going to start working in here. He's going to start taking touches from James Conner. Nope. Didn't take anything from James Conner. James Conner is the workhorse running back here. He's a very good pass-catching running back in this offense. And this is still a fantasy-friendly offense, especially for the running back. So I'm not worried about anything with James Conner here. Yeah, he's 30 years old, but look, he's proved last year he still had juice. He still looked good. Why wouldn't he look that way again going into next year? I don't think Trey Benson eats into his touches. I don't think anybody really eats into his touches. The really only risk here, again, is that he's probably going to miss some time with injury because he always misses some time with injury. But as long as it's not a significant, season type ending injury or something that affects him for the rest of the year, like a serious knee injury or anything, James Conner is going to once again probably be a very solid upside RB2 in fantasy every single week that you're getting once again at a major discount again at pick 68. Then going down a little bit lower, we got Tony Pollard, pick 85, running back 27. Why? This guy was mostly good last year for Tennessee. Now I know down the stretch in the fantasy playoffs, he was either not playing or not very good, but he was dealing with a myriad of injuries. You look at those games from week 14 through week 18, he played less than half the snaps in all of those games. He might have gone over half in week 18, but we don't care about week 18. Obviously didn't even play in week 17. He was just so banged up. But you look at it before that from weeks 1 through 14, he finished as a top 24 running backs in 9 of his 13 games played. And you're getting him well outside of that here at a discount. Not to mention he had plenty of games where he was a low-end RB1 for fantasy. Now, I don't know if he's going to give you, stud RB1 week in and week out performances. But again, you're talking about a guy who's going to give you high-end RB2 performances a lot of times. He's still under contract with the Titans. I doubt they're going to do anything at running back. They have other needs like quarterback, wide receiver, maybe offensive line. They're going to address those positions over running back. Tony Pollard is going to go into next season. We're going to see basically what we saw in 2024. Tony Pollard as the 1A with Tyjae Spears as more of the change of pace guy in this backfield. And for the value you're getting Tony Pollard, again, pick 85 in fantasy drafts to get basically a week in, week out RB2. That's an absolute steal, and that is somebody I'm going to draft over and over again this year. And then finally, another running back that I just feel is severely undervalued year after year. That is Brian Robinson, currently going pick 110, running back 35 in fantasy. This is a perfect late round running back. He finished as a top 24 running back in 8 of his games last year, and he gave you double-digit fantasy points in all but 5 games. He's always got touchdown upside every single week. He's in this fantastic Washington offense that you got to think is only going to get better in year 2 with Jaden Daniels. Maybe they bring in some help at wide receiver to open up the offense a little more, give him some more running room. Now, of course, the thing with Brian Robinson is he's not a prolific pass catcher, so he is kind of touchdown dependent on a week-to-week basis where if he doesn't score or he doesn't rack up a ton of yards, yeah, you may regret starting him that week. But look, in most weeks, he's got a chance to score and a chance to rack up yards. And if they do bring in another high-end wide receiver in free agency to help out Jaden Daniels and this offense, that could really open things up for the running game. So Brian Robinson, again, going at pick 110, that's just an absolute steal. Outside the top 100 picks for a guy that we know is a productive player, a productive running back in a good offense. Like, what are we doing here? Why does nobody ever want Brian Robinson? I want Brian Robinson. Give me all the Brian Robinson this year outside pick 100. I'll happily take him. And it's not just running backs you need to know about. What about wide receivers? Who are going to be the top 12 wide receivers in 2025? I got you covered. I broke it all down in this video, and you can find it right here.